Behavior just released the public beta patch notes for the upcoming Dead by Daylight update and has caused mixed reactions. From killer mains being encouraged to stop tunneling, to survivors celebrating that they can become healthy from self-unhooking, there's some pretty drastic updates, and without some balance changes, will likely disrupt the meta of the game in an abrupt way we haven't seen in a long time. And I mean, this could very well shift survivors to being the stronger role by far, but that isn't even the focus of this video. Because here's the thing, the main changes in this update to prevent killers from tunneling survivors makes sense. Many survivors will end up quitting the game due to tunneling being an unfavorable strategy to go against, which leads to a loss of players, which means less money for behavior. And yeah, I don't agree with the implementation of anti-tunnel, but the goal makes sense for the longevity and health of the game. But with the chaos of everyone debating all these meta-defining changes, most people are ignoring arguably the most insane quote-unquote balance change in this whole update. One so confusing and downright backwards, it's hard to even understand the philosophy behind it. The Cenobite, also known as Pinhead, received this one line in the patch notes, stating, "Survivors with the endurance status effect cannot be restrained by a possessed chain." Now you may be thinking, little bro, who cares? Pinhead can't even be bought anymore, and he's annoying to go against, etc, etc. But let me break down why this change is so detrimental by investigating Pinhead's history. Looking back at tier lists throughout the years, Pinhead has pretty much always landed in the middle of the pack, being considered one of the most balanced killers in the game, rewarding good counterplay and teamwork, while being a mechanically difficult killer to master. Which is great, but the more you look into it, the more depressing it gets. Because explain to me why in the 1500 days he's been in the game, why has he received countless undeserving nerfs and not a singular buff? Seriously, if you look at any discussion regarding Pinhead, depending on the year, you'll hear a variety of different reasons for his tier list placement, frequently arguing he could go even higher, but as time has gone on, those reasons have dwindled drastically. They'll talk about his broken add-ons that got nerfed, or the difficulty in solving the box, which got reworked to remove survivors' skill expression, allowing survivors to solve the box even while chained. But maybe they'll even mention team coordination and solo queue struggles. This used to be a serious issue with Pinhead, as uncoordinated teams would fall apart solving the box. But he got indirectly nerfed through the survivor HUD. Okay, but what about perk energy? Well, unfortunately, once again, nerfed by changing the way killer items worked, turning them into special items, leading to perks that affected killer items before, like Hoarder, going from an S tier to an F tier perk on Pinhead. But throughout all these changes, Pinhead has still managed to be an incredibly solid M1 killer, largely maintaining his strength in chase and at least having the ability to snowball games with the box if you're cracked at map awareness and box spawn logic. But his greatest weakness has always been inconsistency. You'd think that his chase power, considered one of the most difficult in the game to master, requiring map knowledge, predicting survivor movements, having good aim and flicks, and even more, would be the one thing untouched, right? I mean, it's already incredibly punishing if you miss, or God forbid, you actually do hit the survivor, but the chains that spawn break. Like, Pinhead even has a purple add-on to reduce the randomness, so you think, if anything, he could be buffed to compensate for his loss of strength over the years, you know, by rewarding players for overcoming the difficulty by making him more consistent. But the change they made today shows that no, they don't care about any of that. Not allowing you to change survivors with endurance is a slap in the face. Not only does this make Pinhead's largely weak tunneling ability even weaker in an update that punishes every killer drastically by making him even more inconsistent, there are currently a few perks in the game that grant endurance, most of them lasting up to 10 seconds, and these perks are largely considered some of the most problematic and unfair perks to go against in the whole game, as you're punished for not understanding the very specific nuance that triggers 5 perks when there are over 150 survivor perks. Let's be for real for a second. Do you really think that behavior thinks that a survivor tanking a chain because they recently healed their friend will surely encourage anti-tunneling? Like, there's no way that they think that. And everyone knows that we, the community, love when unpredictable forces randomly affect gameplay in a way that's unavoidable. Yes, I'm talking about you, coup de grace. Now you may be asking yourself, so what was their reasoning for this? Well, here's what they claim. The ability to bind survivors who are just unhooked and under the endurance status effect could feel quite oppressive. This change aims to make possessed chains less effective at targeting recently unhooked survivors. I mean, they're right. Pinhead is very oppressive against unhooked survivors. Well, I should say he was oppressive, because there was an add-on that made tunneling with Pinhead way too easy, but that add-on was literally reworked in this update, the same one they're introducing the endurance change in. Also, they're acting like Pinhead is some crazy overpowered killer who can 2-tap insanely fast. The fact is, if you use your chain on someone, it's on cooldown for a few seconds. And not to mention, the only way he could maybe 2-tap someone is with save the best for last, which has been bugged on him for years, making it borderline unusable. Also, if you're actively chaining someone who was just hooked, other survivors will almost always body block the chains, so I don't even know why this is a problem. And it only gets worse, because the thing is, I'm not even someone that calls for nerfs, but there are so many more killers with immense strength on unhooks, like Dracula who can hit both survivors, Blight who can actually 2-tap, and Bubba who pretty much ignores endurance. So it's hard to pretend like Pinhead is even in the realm of being problematic. And even if he was, there are plenty of killers that have their powers nerfed around hooks. Why not use that concept instead of nerfing his ability to deal with literal endurance slop? And what takes the cherry of being the most frustrating of all this is that the anti-tunnel changes will likely not go to live servers the way that they are now. But smaller changes, like killer individual updates, typically get ignored due to the focus being on other bigger backlash. The real reasoning behind the changes are likely because Pinhead has high kill rates, generally due to him not being popular, and that leads to the people playing him being more experienced. Not only does his lack of being viable at the moment gatekeep any new player from trying him, which means there's only experienced players playing him, it's also very uncommon for new players to go against him, which has the consequence of survivors not knowing how to fight him, causing kill rates to go up. And then behavior looks at their stats in confusion, trying to figure out how the heck could this happen. I don't know, man. It's just silly. I hope the changes don't go through. Let me know your opinions in the comments, but other than that, see you later, gamers.